Hey, how's it going? I'm going to show you some signs before I get started. I guess I could move my head out of the way. Okay, so I pulled two cards. The first one is from Shaman's Dream Oracle deck, and it's number 51, Stars in the Sky, and the subtitle is Limited Possibility. And I pulled a second card from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. And it is, whoa, the Beaver. It is a water energy. It's got the symbol for water in this deck at the top there. And I will come back to the Beaver. So I'm going to start with this card here. And I'm going to let you have a look at it. I think it's actually very pretty. I love blue just anyway, as a general rule. And I don't know. I just thought it might be nice if we could get a look at. There's a bridge in here. There's another card that comes up sometimes when it comes to sort of a getting over the hump kind of period, and it'll either be with me or with the world in general, I guess. That's kind of how it works. At the end of something like that, that other bridge card will come out, and I believe it's The Crossing is the name of the card. What am I about to throw away here? Do I want this? No, it's a tomato seed. I don't want it. Anyway, on this one, well, right now, through the camera, because I didn't notice this before, as you can see, there's a figure sitting lotus position on here, and I'm gonna guess that it's a female because I noticed when I pulled this, that there's like light pasties on the breast area. If it was a female, it just seems like the breast area is highlighted. It just seemed to point toward a female. But the other thing that I was gonna talk about first, or I was gonna talk about the other thing too, but what I started to say about this card through the camera was that the feeling is that it's night and day down here, the differences. But as I'm looking, it looks as though this white figure, this brightly radiating light figure that's sitting there, almost it looks like a reflection on like a water surface in the background could be happening. And the shape is not identical, obviously, but if it were water, that tends to move just as a matter of fact. And it could be windy, and that could affect the shape of the reflection. But I mean, if you look at it, it's like it's almost a triangular shape this way, and it does sort of look like it could also be a triangular situation here. I don't think it is water, though, because I think what it is just like the hillside continuing further down, and you know, there's a number of them, so you're seeing one, and then in the background a little further another, and I feel like that's what the sort of irregular texture that happens there, that looks like it's happening there, is also what happens on actual mountains and hills. If you know, I tend to see them as from a car going by, since I've never lived in an area where you can see just the hillside constructed upon, uncivilized upon, real estated. But if you're on a road trip, you're likely to see mountains and hills go by that haven't had a bunch of stuff done to them or stuck on top of them. And I feel like there's that going on, especially right here. And then that's just like sky in the background, like in between. But I do feel like it's like two different times a day or something, or else it could also be this, which is something that I feel like I see where I live here on the Pacific coast of the Pacific Northwest coast of the United States, where like yesterday, I thought I was going to go out and ride on my little metal bike that really shouldn't get wet. And I went out there and it was sunny, but it was also raining. And so parts of the sky looked very dark like this, and then other parts were blue sky and sun. I don't want to focus on that right now, but it happens, and I feel like something like that's happening here, where this is like lighter, almost daytime looking. So it's either sun up or sun down happening, and it's not a particularly sunny day. That's like sun through clouds glare light, I feel like. And so this figure, as I said, was sitting in the lotus position. If you look, I don't know if you'll be able to see, it's really faint. But from where their hands would be with the traditional yoga pose that they'd be in, well, that they are in, there seems to be some sort of traffic happening between their fingertips and the sky, which obviously means something. There's some kind of communication here happening. There's some kind of connection that is so faint to our ability to see it that indicates to me that it's beyond my understanding, anyway, the mechanics of how this communication is working. But in a string and can kind of way, I can sort of get it. I like that there's like a sort of Milky Way happening in the background, the stars that the card refers to, probably. And there does seem to be like a galaxy up here happening. They do look sort of almost like a bridge, these star-packed sort of sky cylindrical masses. I mean, look at it. There is sort of an arc to it, not unlike the bridge. The bridge on the crossing card is not arced. It's just sort of a flat crossover. Still a bridge, though. I don't know why that was important to bring up, just for the sake of contrast, I guess, since I didn't pull out the card and show you. Trust me, it doesn't arc. It's flat. And there's something round in there that, if it were a planet, it would be in the right place for it. Right in there, I believe. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot. Yes. So it's just below the number, and it's sort of a darker area. And we only get to see the moon with the naked eye, so I was just going to say, I'm not used to seeing a dark planet. Dark colored. Not to be confused with a unpleasant dark planet. Moving on. So I'm gonna quickly read from the guidebook about the stars in the sky card. Limitless possibility, embracing opportunity. When you look up into the velvety dark blanket of the night sky covering the vast expanse of space, can you count all the stars twinkling above? What kind of question is that? Of course not. Oh, poetic silly. Can you imagine that you are only glimpsing a teeny sliver of what is actually there? Yeah, easily. This is the domain of limitless possibility, of the never-ending sea of potential that you yourself are made of, and here and let me try that again. This is the domain of limitless possibility, comma, of the never-ending sea of potential that you yourself are made of and have now at your disposal. Well, that is chunky. Or should I say clunky? Just an opinion. Your life right now is alive with possibility and needs your clear focus to home in on what avenue of exploration now, to hone in on what avenue of exploration most calls to you. I'm just gonna make a notation here because it says home in on, and that, I'm sorry, that's wrong. It doesn't mean what this person thought it meant. They just used a wrong letter. Like maybe they typed the M instead of the N. You know, like a literal typo, but I have to change it because I don't want to accidentally say it because I'm reading it. It's time to choose and not be distracted by the sheer magnitude of what can be, or of what may be. But here now, gather your thoughts. Be here now. Gather your thoughts and your most cherished dreams. Focus on the brightest star in your never-ending sky, and take small steps, small movements toward calling this glittering potential into reality. If you can imagine this and hold that vision, you will summon all the celestial helpers and guides to aid you in bringing it into fruition. Keep your focus on the essence of potential rather than the form of it. That's interesting because I feel like it's very similar to a phrase I'm most likely going to use when talking about the beaver, and it's seeing the stairs instead of the staircase, which somebody just said to me recently, and I just kind of like the ring of it, but it's like not getting ahead of yourself, basically, and overwhelming yourself, like just sort of keeping your head down, keeping your mind on the task at hand, because if you keep at the work, eventually you'll get done and be finished, and then the finished product will be there, and you know, whatever the ending looks like, hopefully good, celebratory. And so it's interesting that it should come up for one thing, and also that I found a sort of parallel for it here, where did it go? Oh, if you can imagine this and hold on to the vision, you will summon all celestial helpers and guides to help you in bringing it to fruition. Well, see, that says something a little different than what I said, because my thing is like, don't focus on the future, but know that the future that you have in mind, just keep it in there, that it exists. Like, you don't have to dwell on it and make that your focus, so that you're not working on the part about getting there. So yeah, focus on the steps and not like the stairway, one step at a time. Yeah, getting back into it. Keep your focus on the essence of potential rather than the form of it. Oh, that's the part that I was talking about, stairs and steps. Keep your focus on the essence of potential rather than the form of it. The universe has its own ideas of how best to serve you and all of us at the same time. Did you get that? The universe has its own ideas of how best to serve you and all of us at the same time. All of us at the same time. Some intelligence is out there colluding, collaborating with every force, I would think, from the sound of that, to make each individual's existence / experience happen. Think about that. It comes up all the time. I say it, other people say it out of this guidebook, the other guidebook. Everyone talks about that. That like getting to the place, to the end. And I think I just sort of like got lost what I was talking about there. Oh, about the universe having the best idea of how... Oh, yeah, the complexity of it is like... See, I can't even talk about it because it's so big. But there is one intelligence out there, according to this, and a lot of other stuff, that does have the capacity to compute that big, that many operations, that many movements, that many everythings, whatever's. Like, all of it is like... That is crazy. But, I mean, the evidence for it is all around us. I mean, you disagree if you want, but I can't think of a better explanation for everything being the way it is, here and now and ever after. And it just, like, appearing with no direction at all. I feel like that would be like a big mess. There has to be some order. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the beaver now. But before I do that, I'm going to talk about my day, because it, I think, kind of pertains. So it was a very strange day from the start. Like, I talked about the check and that. But, so what I didn't also talk about was... like yesterday my reading was about not piling on, and what I meant by that was, aside from the most obvious meaning, not adding your energy to stuff that you're just looking at, say like on your phone, like you're looking at some show, or on your television, or hearing it on your radio, or reading it in a magazine. However it's input, I was referring to the reaction that you have to it, or as opposed to the response, because in my personal case, I'm trying to transition from reacting to responding, because they sound similar, but they are not the same. One's just like a knee-jerk emotional triggering, and the other is more considered, which is what I would prefer to do, because the first one, the piling on, like, like it's like getting sucked into the stuff you're looking at. It's like, wait a minute, that doesn't even have to do with me directly, personally. It's just sort of an objective feature of life that someone has brought to my attention and was so kind to portray and narrate and so on and so forth. But it's not my thing. I'm not in it. So why am I getting my heart rate increased? Why am I getting emotions about it? I have no dog in this game. So that is what I mean by piling on. Like, I don't need to add my energy to that when, especially, I don't really have anything to do with it except as a curiosity for me to look at and learn from. So, why was I talking about that? Well, anyway, oh, right, the not piling on. So, I talked a little bit about what happened with my day, I believe, with my various cards and systems not working, and so it wasn't me breaking down, and it wasn't even the first thing breaking down. It was just like this hearing. I watched it yesterday and a little bit of it again today, not deliberately, but I'm glad I did, because it sort of highlighted to me something that I am like talking about right now, that oh, I gotta get lost for a second and then go back and remember. Hold on. Oh, so Ms. Bobo, Lauren Boebert, the soon-to-be not representative from Colorado, I suspect, was trying to like jump all down some Democratic person's throat from Social Security, or I don't even know if he was a Democrat or not. I just know that the guy worked at Social Security, and she was trying to complain about delays with checks and stuff like that. I guess, I mean, I'm not really sure what her problem was, because it was more about like barking at this guy and trying to nail him on something. And she says, well, why does this take so long? And he says, well, the volume of incoming applicants has like, I'm paraphrasing, has exponentially grown, and the funds for staffing the agency have not commensurately also grown, and we therefore are understaffed. So we got more applicants and the same amount of staff, and the applicants sounds like keeps adding, and the staff and the funding to add staff and for whatever else sounds like it isn't adding. And he had to point that out to her, and he said before he got like into the detailed explanation, like what I just said, he said we're underfunded, and she said, I don't think you're underfunded. And I was like, you don't know, but you're saying that they're not doing stuff fast enough, and usually you used to run a business, you know where money goes if stuff you need, and that's what I mean. Like, there I go, getting all like, why am I getting even at all wrapped up in it? Do I really care? No, because it was not even anything anyway. What the Social Security guy was saying, yeah, that's something. They do need more funding and more staffing. And we've known this for years, that more old people were going to start happening every year for the next however many years. So, I mean, I'm older than her, and I actually do pay attention to news, so maybe that's why I know that, and also I retain information. She may not have ever come across it, and it sounds like she doesn't do her homework, and I don't know how many times I've seen her at some congressional staff meeting thing where she goes to start talking and she does not have her information together. She asks someone asks her a question, and she just falls apart because all she seems to have prepared herself to do was to try to come down on people. And okay, if you're gonna do that, you gotta come prepared, otherwise you just look kind of, what do they call her? I'm not even gonna say it. It's not complimentary, but from what I said, you can maybe get the drift. She doesn't do her homework. What does that indicate to you? She don't know. She doesn't know the information. So hold on one second. So I got to learn, though, that Social Security has issues, and I found out that today yesterday rather, when my check did finally hit my account. But I mean, I was expecting it to just go back to the time that I always got it, but I interrupted the way I was getting it and kind of took myself out of line and like ungrandfathered myself. And so now I have this seated position, and now it's going to come at a different time. But knowing about this underfunding and the understaffing, when it happened, then I was like, oh, okay. And like I said, I didn't want to call on first when potentially everybody else and their dog would also be calling. So it was good to know that. And while I was frustrated, because I didn't think I was going to get it at all until it came, because it's never like, well, I just told you the times have changed that I would be receiving it. I just didn't understand it as such then. Now I get it. but that's the thing. It was like I was all like prepared to be all, oh no, it's gonna be terrible, and then I was like, oh wait, we're not gonna do that anymore, because in a way that's piling on myself. Like, I don't need to be making myself worried and getting all angry when first and foremost, it's gonna come at some point. Not like if it was late, it was only gonna be like a day or so late. So why go there? And it sounds really obvious now, but it hasn't always been the case that was obvious. So, ups and downs, all day, but everything ended up working out. Like, I didn't get all of the items I needed at the store because I still need to deal with this card that didn't work, that should work. And I got a new one that's not supposed to start until January, and I think by enacting that one, I automatically shut off the one that I had that should be current, and the one that's supposed to start on January 1st, well, it ain't gonna do anything till January 1st, so I unwittingly messed myself up, but I didn't realize that until later. But I did realize it finally, and so it's like, okay, I can probably call up and get the situation, settled, that I can use the benefits that I have that are sitting on that card, and go back to it on Monday. In the meantime, I more or less have what I need. I normally do my shopping farther away from home, but there are some few items that I could pick up just locally right down the street on my own, and I enjoy doing that. So it kind of all worked out. Like, okay, that didn't go so well over there, but then alternatively, it can go really well over here. And the same thing happened with my caregiver. She had a plan to do something for her own business of her own, like not the job that she works, that she comes with me on. And I didn't think she sounded that enthused about it, but like everyone else, she's got some bills and she's trying to stay on top of everything so she doesn't get like out of control. She's got a lot of different things happening, like all of us. And she also wanted yesterday to swing by and drop off some new flowers at her mom's grave, which is right by my house, so I don't object to that. And her mom just died. What am I going to say? No! So, it's not a big deal. But because of card stuff and her other client having stuff with the same agency, Social Security, that's why I didn't call. Everybody was trying to do their stuff. So, she was already in a frustrated mood when she got to me. Gradually got her out of it by making her laugh and, it's over. You can stop feeling that now. And sometimes somebody needs to say that to us. Like, we might just go on and on being mad about the thing until someone says, hey, snap out of it. Like, okay, we get it. You got to be mad. Now stop. Now it's just destructive to you and everybody else. And that is the type of thing that I personally want to stay away from, because I feel like it gets in the way of raising my vibration, and I want to do that more, So, it ended up like she got a day off she wasn't expecting. In this case, since she had a plan that she's now not going to do, that had already wiped out any other things that she would have been obligated to do. So she ends up with now today, because it's now, yesterday is gone, it's today now. But she now has today free and clear. She doesn't have to do anything that she doesn't just want to do. And she could actually take the time and go up and sit and visit with her mom by herself, if she wants, or take like one of her kids up there, which I guess she is not like, I guess they haven't been going to visit the way that she would like them to, and so now she has an opportunity to drag at least one of them up there. And that's a good thing, you know, like by the end of the day, we were both like, hey, you know, that actually worked out, you know, like there's a bunch of stuff that I can't do a dang thing about until Monday, but it's like, that's okay. There's nothing pressing before then about it anyway, and I didn't lose anything. You know, like, it's just sort of like course correcting on the fly your own attitude about stuff, and that's like energy work right there. Ow! Why do you gotta speak up like that? No one asked you. Get a twinge. So, yeah, I mean, it ended up being like a good day, and I was all like, like every time I started to get mad, I was like, wait a minute, you don't have to get mad at that. You can just stop, and then I did. So, I don't know, is it getting easier? I think it might be getting easier. Good. I've been working on this for like years and years and years, like finally. And then the last thing I want to say is I had been listening to this radio station that's a local station, like in my little town, not like, I guess all radio stations are kind of local, but some are like big enough to be nationally known. This one was not. But like almost everywhere I go in town, like to doctor's offices and things, that station will be playing, and it's kind of funny. It's a like 60s and 70s and 80s rock station, or pop station rather. And it's kind of interesting, and I heard some stuff on there that I had never heard before in my whole life. But the problem is that the playlist is the same. Like, it doesn't really change. So after a couple of months, I was like, I'm done. I don't know how those people can just, I guess they're not really paying attention to it. It's just like an okay background sound. But if the playlist doesn't change, eventually I'm gonna. So I was looking for another station and landed on a song that I liked, and then just left it there and found this other like local little rock station, and it's probably about half an hour, 45 minutes drive down the road. Like, that's how far away this town is. Also a little town like mine, but they have their own radio station, and it's a rock station, and so I've been enjoying that. And like some Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads era song will come on, like from Blizzard of Oz, and I'll be like, oh wow, I remember this song, And it's funny because on Twitter, when it was Twitter, I used to have all these accounts that I was really active with, or that I like to follow, I should say, and a couple of them are rock stuff, so they were always asking, like, what Ozzy song do you like besides, like, the pop hit that everyone knows? And I could never think of anything, but I knew some, because, my God, I've heard so much Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne. I just couldn't think of anything. And this station starts playing all these songs from that era when, like, before I was into punk rock, I should say, I was into rock, so it's like, and I didn't stop being into it either, by the way. When I got into punk rock, I just listened to rock. And even though LA is like very much a rock town, a lot of rock people go there, converge upon it to make their rock fortunes. But punk rock I like participated in. Like, I wore the uniform and joined the band and did all of the things. So it was more of an active pursuit. But the rock has always been there, and that's what I listen to punk rock some now, and mainly when I come across it online, but just on my own, that's not really what I go looking for. I go back to, like, the well, and that's rock, and just regular old, or metal, you know. That one station that I said I got burned out on the playlist, I would call that rock, like classic rock. And then this station is metal and rock. Anyway, I'm happy I found it. And so I'm going to talk about the Beaver. Got a lot of stuff. So Beaver symbolism: purposeful, pragmatic, determined, manifests, make it happen. So it makes make it happen. Contributor, good provider. So teamwork. Steps, not staircase. So they concentrate on what they're doing rather than like what's going to happen after it's done. They're just concentrating on like the work at hand. And so needs to be reminded to rest and recreate because they're laser focused and driven. They're loyal and family oriented, good business and love partners. The very being in native lore signifies spiritual and physical warmth, the heights of the beavers. Their buck teeth can be a reminder that our words can be cutting, and also of how powerful we are through our voice. And, you know, we should, like, exercise caution or, like, moderation with, you know, using this strong cutting tool. The structures they build symbolize safety and security. And their dens and dams create ponds. The dens are on the ponds, but they provide a safe structure to live in, safe from the elements, but also to like for protection. They're solidly built, well built. Oh, right. So, men calls the beavers destructive because they build the dams and divert the course of water. And if someone like a farmer, say, has like fields that were being fed by some waterway that's been obstructed or diverted by the work of beavers, then the farmer, who, by the way, has intruded upon the natural order of like a forest situation or a wilder type area than a cultivated field. I mean, they would, to make a field, you would have to go down and like sort of deforest, like do logging and stuff, and that's taken away habitat, and that is no bueno. So, stop it. But what the beaver is doing, though, when they make those ponds, they create habitats for like hundreds and thousands of life forms, and that is not destructive. And also, in their natural habitat, they're doing what everything there expects them to be doing. And so, if it causes some change to other habitats, because they're all sort of like one being collectively, it may be a problem or an inconvenience for like the other species, but not unexpected. You know, not what, like, this is what is they know can and will happen in their habitat. All of these animal souls, so plants and what have you. It's when the man comes in, though, and starts just like completely taking it away. Like a field, at least they're trying to grow stuff. It doesn't completely eliminate like other life forms, but when you throw a Walmart on top of where stuff was living, that's destructive. And then all the cars coming in with the tire powder from driving all over the road. I mean, the exhaust. It's like, man is the destructive one, not the beaver. And there's so much to be learned from the beaver too. Like when they change their environment, they use the environment. They don't like eliminate it. And that is something that I believe that it all can coexist if man were less human, less the way we are with the overpowering and the overtaking and thinking we know better. Because usually something that we think we know so much about that ends up being a big destructive mistake we learn later, like, oh, the answer was there right in front of us all the time, but it was so simple and not polished chrome that we didn't like pay attention to it. The nature can show you the way very easily. There's cycles, and cycles are recorded. There's lots of data out there to study to understand. So I think that with a little bit more effort, we could learn how to coexist with our world instead of trying to overpower it and overtake it. And also, I feel like learning how to course correct on the fly these things that are so kind of triggering and like the one reason it was so upsetting that the money hadn't come in yet, like even if it was late, I knew it was going to come. It didn't end up being the case, which ended up being like something to be happy about and grateful for. But I haven't always been able to do that so easily. And like I said, and when I say years, I'm talking like decades. I've been trying to get control of this, so I feel really good about that. I feel really good about being able to show it as well, because I learned from my caregiver, among other things today, that she has similar anger issues that I have, and I can be made angry. Anyone can be baited, right? Or become justifiably angry, but generally that's not my state of mind. And so it felt like I was kind of crazy with the way my anger manifests, which I'm not going to go into right now, but she has the same thing. And I was like, thank God, I thought I was the only freak out there. I can talk about that another time. So I think the symbol on this bridge sort of symbolizes us collectively, in that it's a time where there's a lot of stuff happening in our society, in the world, but it's always a good time to stop and take a moment to consider the entire situation that you're in the middle of. Like, darkness up here doesn't necessarily mean bad, but it could give bad a place to hide itself. So it's something that even while you're sitting there concentrating on nirvana with your eyes closed, you have to have like the situational awareness to know that a bat out of hell could fly by and slap you in the head with a wing and knock you off of there, and that would not be like the most relaxing thing ever. But that's kind of the way stuff happens sometimes. You are going along and thinking you're doing all of the right stuff, and you are, but that it's just like a circumstance of life, just to make you know you're still alive. Something will come along and topple your whole apple cart, change the tone of your whole situation, and the way you course correct to endure that situation or triumph your way through it. It really depends on how do you react or respond. Look how calm. They're like, okay, like this could be a full-on storm. The sky could be falling, but I'm just gonna stay calm because that, and also this calm and like light that you can just kind of pull up the covers around your shoulder and go to sleep to, or get up and have a hot drink of coffee to start your morning in a warm fuzzy something on your deck in the fog. Like that is also a nice feeling. So all happens all the time, and keeping our wits about us in the midst of us is a good, in the midst of it and us, because we can be triggering to each other now that I mention it. But just staying cool and calm and drawing power from like the heavens or your dead people, because we always think of heaven as being up instead of around, like here and now. All of it is like heaven, hell, whatever you can imagine, it's here and now. Experiencing it, though, it depends on how are you reacting or responding. Like hell can be all around and happening, but it doesn't have to touch you. Think about it from a horror movie perspective. All the people getting possessed and having to have exorcists come and do rituals on them, and in reality, all of the world where that just really ain't happening. Maybe here and there a little bit, but there's not a wave of people needing to be exorcised all over the world. It's not like that. The ratios are much, much smaller than the movies would have you believe. Anyway, I think I made my point. Oh, if I didn't, let me just say that the keeping your head down and just moving along on whatever you're doing and not worrying about future outcomes in that is a good energy, I think, for us to keep in mind. Although we're not beavers and we're not going to sort of keep our heads down in the same way, we do have things that we have to do in life, and we can't really let ourselves get too distracted by sparkly, flashy, shiny people or something like that really is so peripheral to our lives and will go on or not with or without us, like priorities. But this is like the energy of making it happen, like getting it done, because you're not like distracted by all kinds of other BS, and you're successful because of that, because you can sort of keep your head and keep it out of the frivolities that distract us and slow us down, basically. Which, that's the perfect time for some terrible idea to occur to us. So, in order to make things really wonderful for all of us, it's got to be a team effort. Like the selfishness that we have been experiencing for hundreds of years and that we're seeing in very harsh light currently, lately. I mean, it's a good thing that we're getting to see this stuff, so we know what to sort of treat and or fix. But I feel like these are the way to get through it. Like, keep your head down and mind your business, and be reflective and try to like look at yourself and look at the situations more, and be more compassionate and understanding with each other. And it's all gonna take like some kind of like work, mental and physical, metaphysical psychic, like all of it, because all of us have all of this going on, and it all kind of needs to be addressed, and also affects all of us in some way. So, man, we really are connected. Like, we can't really, get away from ourselves / each other. And we'll get back to where we want to be with each other again. This is just a phase, just something we're working through. Thank you and good night.